Get down!
As the movie opens, we meet Bill Marks, a troubled U.S. Air Marshal battling deep grief after the death of his young daughter, Olivia, who lost her fight with cancer. Unable to cope, Bill has turned to alcohol, even while on duty. During a smoke break before boarding, a stranger named Tom borrows Bill's lighter and tries to make small talk, mentioning he's flying to Amsterdam. Bill keeps his answer short, his sharp eyes constantly scanning the terminal. His instincts as a marshal never sleep. Aboard the flight, Bill runs into a fellow air marshal, Jack Hammond, before noticing a little girl named Becca, who accidentally leaves her doll behind. When Bill later returns it to her, she smiles and boards a plane, comforted by the kind gesture. Once everyone is settled, Zach, a young man, sits beside Bill, but a woman named Jen Summers politely asks to swap seats to get the window spot. Across the cabin, flight attendants Nancy and Gwen greet each other warmly before takeoff, while the pilots, Captain David and Kyle Rice, run their final checks. Bill receives a quick text from his superiors confirming the routine status of the flight. To keep his identity hidden, he pretends to be a nervous flyer, wrapping a ribbon, once a gift from his daughter, around his hand for comfort. After a shaky takeoff, the plane levels out. Jen casually asks Bill about his family, and he lies, saying his daughter is 17. When he asks about her job, she dodges the question and pretends to sleep. Soon after, Bill steps into the restroom for a cigarette. When he returns, he receives a mysterious text message from an unknown number claiming to be on the plane. The sender mentions his smoking in the restroom, proving they're watching him closely. Startled, Bill scans the cabin but sees nothing unusual. The next message is chilling. Set your timer for 20 minutes. When the timer hits 0, someone on this plane will die. The sender demands $150 million wired to an offshore account. Bill alerts Jack, suspecting him of sending the messages. But Jack denies it, even offering his phone for inspection. When Bill explains the threat, Jack dismisses it, saying it's impossible to kill anyone mid-flight without getting caught. Still, Bill heads to the cockpit, informing the captain and requesting they trace the account number and cut off Wi-Fi access. He then enlists Nancy and Jen to help scan the passengers using the plane's CCTV feed. Armed with pens, they start marking down anyone using their phones. Meanwhile, Bill receives a call from Marinik, a TSA contact on the ground. Marinik warns him not to jump to conclusions about who the hijacker might be. But when the mystery texter brings up Bill's late daughter, suspicion consumes him. Soon after, Jack is seen sneaking away from his seat. Bill follows him into the lavatory, demanding answers, only for Jack to coolly respond that he needed the money. Jack suddenly lunges at Bill, sparking a violent struggle inside the cramped airplane restroom. In the chaos, Jack drenches his own phone, trying to destroy the evidence. When he pulls out a gun, Bill has no choice. He fires, killing Jack on the spot. Breathing heavily, Bill locks the restroom from the outside and takes Jack's phone. But before he can even process what happened, a new message flashes on his screen. Nice work, Bill. First kill accomplished. The hijacker congratulates him, then coldly instructs him to reset the timer. Another passenger will die in 20 minutes unless the money is transferred. Bill rushes to the cockpit, only to be hit with an even darker revelation. The bank account number the hijacker gave earlier is registered under Bill's own name. Jen, who's been quietly listening from the doorway, hears everything. The captain presses Bill for answers. Has anyone died in the last 20 minutes? Bill hesitates, hiding Jack's death. But soon, a message from TSA headquarters arrives. Bill's badge and firearm are to be confiscated immediately. Reluctantly, the captain complies. Refusing to back down, Bill and Jen work together to recover data from Jack's soak phone. What they discover shocks them. Jack wasn't the hijacker. He'd been manipulated, kept busy by fake texts to frame him. They also find mention of a briefcase Jack had been carrying. Using a key from his pocket, Bill opens it, only to find it filled with cocaine. Suddenly, Jack's earlier plea for mercy makes sense. He wasn't a terrorist. He was a desperate smuggler trying to protect himself. Just then, Nancy calls out for Jack. Bill is forced to admit the truth. Jack is dead. Terrified, she begins to panic, but Bill calms her down, assuring her that everything is under control. Using Jack's badge as cover, Bill initiates a random search across the cabin to flush out the real hijacker. He methodically checks passengers one by one, including Jen, and asks her to keep an eye on the others. He questions Fahim, a calm Middle Eastern man who turns out to be a doctor, then Charles, an attorney, then Riley, who introduces himself as a police officer. Nothing suspicious yet. Moments later, another text arrives. "Stop playing games, Bill." Scanning the cabin, Bill spots Tom, the same man who borrowed his lighter before boarding. Without warning, Bill grabs him and drags him into the aisle. At that exact moment, Marinik calls from TSA, confirming Tom's identity as a schoolteacher. But Bill isn't convinced. Under pressure, Tom confesses he was paid to ask Bill about his destination before the flight. Bill demands to know who paid him. Tom nervously points toward a man wearing glasses. Bill drags the man forward, but it turns out to be the wrong person. With time running out, Bill ties Tom up and checks his watch. 49 seconds left. Then another message appears. The next death doesn't have to be a passenger. Bill freezes. Before he can act, turbulence rattles the plane, knocking him off balance. He scrambles toward the cockpit, only to find the captain convulsing in his seat, while Kyle, the co-pilot, tries to hold him steady. Bill rushes to bring Dr. Fahim, who quickly diagnoses possible poisoning, but it's already too late. The captain dies mid-flight. Bill resets his timer and orders Kyle to lock the cockpit door until landing. The situation is spiraling. Later, Jen introduces Bill to Zach, the young passenger from earlier, who turns out to be a computer programmer. Zach suggests sending a virus disguised as a photo to trace the hijacker's phone. Bill hands him his device and urges him to hurry. Minutes later, Zach finishes and returns the phone. Bill immediately orders everyone to raise their hands as he sends the infected image. The cabin goes silent. Then, faintly, a phone starts ringing. Bill follows the sound, gun drawn, and traces it to Charles, the lawyer. But when Bill confronts him, Charles insists, "That's not my phone." Bill furiously interrogates Charles, demanding answers. But Charles insists he knows nothing. Suddenly, he starts convulsing violently, just like the captain before him, and collapses dead. Word spreads fast through the cabin. When Dr. Fahim confirms both deaths were due to poisoning, Riley, the off-duty cop, rallies a few passengers, convinced that Bill is the real hijacker. Meanwhile, Bill retreats to the restroom, lighting another cigarette to clear his thoughts. That's when he spots something odd, a small hole leading directly into the cockpit. Checking the sink, he discovers a thin tube, the kind that could easily be used to deliver poison through the vent. A quick look at Charles's body confirms it. There's a tiny injection pin hidden under his skin. Following this new lead, Bill questions a woman who had used the restroom earlier. She nervously admits that Jen was in there right after her. Bill storms over and confronts Jen. Why did she insist on sitting beside him? Why was she so interested in getting close? Tearing up, Jen confesses. She's terminally ill, and doctors told her she doesn't have long to live. She just wanted a window seat, one last view above the clouds before her time runs out. Bill softens, realizing he's misjudged her, and quietly apologizes. But as they try unlocking the hijacker's phone, Jen accidentally triggers a hidden failsafe, activating a bomb. At that same moment, Bill's face flashes across breaking news broadcasts. Every major network is reporting that the air marshal himself has hijacked the plane. Then it hits him. The only way that bomb could have gotten on board was through Jack, since air marshals bypass regular security checks. Bill races for the briefcase, digs beneath the cocaine, and finds it, a fully armed explosive device. Before he can act, Riley's group attacks, trying to restrain him. In the chaos, Bill shouts that there's a bomb on the plane. Just when things seem hopeless, Tom, the man from the terminal, grabs Bill's gun and forces the others to back off. Bill explains everything, and Tom reluctantly returns the weapon. Moments later, fighter jets appear outside, escorting the plane. They contact co-pilot Kyle, instructing him to maintain altitude until further notice. Bill bursts into the cockpit and orders Kyle to descend to 8,000 feet, hoping to minimize the blast radius if the bomb goes off. Kyle hesitates, insisting they wait until they're closer to Iceland. Right now, they're still over open ocean. Bill places the bomb near the rear door, explaining that it's pressure sensitive, disarming it could trigger an immediate detonation. With no other options, he orders passengers to pile heavy luggage over it to absorb the shockwave. Time is slipping away. Bill returns to Kyle, telling him to start the descent in exactly 3 minutes. Meanwhile, little Becca hides in fear. Gwen, the flight attendant, tries to coax her out, but she refuses, until Bill approaches and offers her the ribbon his daughter once gave him. Comforted, she takes his hand, and he guides her to Jen. Then, a call comes in from Marinik at TSA. He confirms the ransom payment has gone through. Bill puts him on speaker so the hijacker can hear. But Marinik still believes Bill's behind it all. He mentions a video circulating online, footage showing Bill dragging Tom across the cabin. Bill grabs the phone from the passenger who uploaded it. Watching closely, he notices something chilling: Tom slipping a phone into Charles's pocket earlier during the chaos. Realizing he's been set up, Bill turns to Tom, who's now visibly panicking. Tom pulls Riley's gun, holding him hostage, and tries to shoot, but it's empty. Riley fights back, but Zach, the young programmer, secretly has the ammunition. A brutal struggle breaks out. Zach loads the gun and shoots Riley, wounding him. The blast distracts Bill, allowing Tom to grab his gun and take him hostage as well. In the cockpit, Kyle requests permission to descend, but the fighter pilots deny it. Now in full control, Tom and Zach reveal their true plan: to prove that modern air security is a joke. No one is safe, Tom sneers. They intend to parachute out once the plane lowers altitude. Bill tries to reason with Zach, saying he can still save himself if he helps disarm the bomb. Tom refuses and shoots Zach on the spot. Ignoring orders from command, Kyle begins the descent anyway. The plane drops fast, pressure roaring through the cabin. As it stabilizes at 8,000 feet, Bill seizes his moment. He fights Tom in a final struggle and kills him. But the timer hits 0. The bomb detonates, ripping through the rear of the plane. Flames and debris fill the air, yet Kyle fights to maintain control. One of the engines explodes as the plane hurtles toward a runway in Iceland. He dumps excess fuel and manages to bring the aircraft down in a violent crash landing. Becca nearly falls out of the broken fuselage, but Bill and Jen grab her just in time. The plane finally skids to a halt. They're alive. As rescue teams rush in, Becca returns Bill's ribbon with a smile. She doesn't need it anymore. The film ends with Bill and Jen sharing a quiet look, a moment of relief, and maybe, just maybe, a new beginning. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more stories like this, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe and don't go near strange trees at night.